Most people spend their entire lives chasing success, chasing love, chasing peace, running so fast toward what they want that they never stop to realize they are running in the wrong direction entirely. And here is the truth Carl Jung discovered after decades of diving into the deepest layers of the human psyche. The thing you are desperately searching for outside of yourself has been waiting for you inside all along. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not unlucky. You are simply unaware of the invisible force that has been silently shaping every single experience of your life. And the moment you understand how this force works, the moment you stop fighting it and start flowing with it, everything changes. Not someday, not gradually. Everything. And it starts right now, in this moment, with what you are about to discover. Before we go any deeper, I want you to do something powerful. Go to the comments right now and type 111 followed by this sentence: I am ready. What is mine is already on its way. That number, 111, carries the frequency of new beginnings, of manifestation, of a mind that has finally decided to align with what it truly desires. Let this community witness your declaration. Let the universe register your intention, because what you are about to learn is not just philosophy. It is a map, a precise, battle-tested map drawn by one of the greatest minds in human history, showing you exactly how to stop blocking what is already yours and finally let it in. Lesson 1: Releasing control so the universe can work in your favor. There is a particular kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with physical tiredness. It is the exhaustion of a mind that never stops trying to control everything, every outcome, every relationship, every variable in an equation that was never meant to be solved by force. If you have ever felt that specific heaviness, that low hum of anxiety underneath even your best days, this is where it comes from. The relentless, unconscious grip of control. Carl Jung's teachings remind us with startling clarity that we hold no real authority over outcomes. The only domain where our will truly operates is within our own steps, our own choices, our own inner responses. The moment we release the desperate need to control fate, to engineer the future down to its finest detail, we allow conditions to move in a far more natural and intelligent way than our anxious minds could ever manufacture. Think of a farmer in the American Midwest, standing at the edge of a vast open field. He plants his seeds with precision and care. He waters the soil. He tends to what he has planted with patience and dedication. But there is one thing he cannot do. He cannot reach into the earth and pull the crop upward faster. He cannot negotiate with the sun. He cannot accelerate the seasons. And yet, he does not collapse in frustration. He does not abandon the field in despair. He acts with full commitment and then releases the outcome to forces greater than his hands can reach. That is not weakness. That is the deepest form of strength. This is what Jung pointed to when he spoke of the unconscious working in ways the conscious mind cannot fully grasp. When we obsessively try to force results, we create invisible resistance, a kind of psychic friction that jams the very channels through which life wants to deliver what we need. But when we plant our intentions clearly, act from our deepest values, and then trust the timing of things we cannot see, we become genuinely unstoppable. Not because we controlled the outcome, but because we stopped obstructing it. Active patience is not passive resignation. It is the art of moving forward without the crushing weight of immediate results. It is working on your craft, your relationships, your goals, without treating every day that passes without visible reward as a personal failure. It is understanding that a delay is not a denial, that what is meant for you is being arranged, not withheld. Consider this: when you send a letter with a true and open heart, you cannot control how it lands, how it is received, or what emotions it stirs. But you can trust that something real was sent. Something genuine travels with it. Life works the same way. Every intention you plant, every action you take from a place of authentic desire, creates a ripple whose full effect you may not see for months or years. The moment you stop demanding to see the ripple as it forms, the moment you trust that it exists, you reclaim an enormous amount of energy that was previously spent on anxiety. The compulsion to control almost always grows from fear. Fear that things will not go our way. Fear of the unknown. Fear of missing out. But what this fear actually does is make us blind. Blind to the unexpected opportunities, the unplanned connections, the unimagined paths that life is constantly placing at our feet. When we loosen our grip, we become receptive. We become open. And what was always meant for us finally has space to arrive. Jung said it directly: not everything bends to our will, and we must learn to embrace this truth with serenity. We cannot control other people. We cannot stop time. We cannot dictate the behavior of the external world. But we can reshape our attitude. We can reframe our expectations. And in doing so, we gain something that cannot be taken by any circumstance: a profound, unshakable inner peace that comes not from winning every battle, but from choosing which battles are even worth fighting. Lesson 2. The power of your inner words. Drop 777 in the comments right now if this is landing somewhere real inside you. And write: I am the architect of my own reality. I trust the universe to handle the rest. The number 777 resonates with the frequency of divine trust, of a soul that has finally decided to stop swimming against the current and surrender to something wiser than the ego's endless plans. The words you speak inside your own mind are not background noise. They are architecture. They are the invisible blueprint from which your emotional life, your decisions, your confidence, and ultimately your reality are built. Carl Jung understood this with a depth that most modern psychology has only begun to catch up with. The mind is not just a tool for thinking. It is the lens through which you experience every single moment of your existence. What you tell yourself determines what you perceive, and what you perceive determines what you pursue, and what you pursue determines what you build. It is a chain reaction that begins not in the outer world, but in that private, unguarded conversation happening inside your head right now. If your inner dialogue is dark, if it whispers constantly that you are not enough, that your dreams are too large, that failure is inevitable, then over time, regardless of your conscious resistance, you begin to believe it. The mind cannot indefinitely fight what it is repeatedly told. It eventually accommodates. It eventually agrees. And once that agreement is made at the unconscious level, behavior follows automatically, invisibly, without your awareness. But here is the extraordinary power this gives you. The direction of that inner voice is not fixed. It is trainable. It is redirectable. With conscious and deliberate effort, you can interrupt the automatic patterns of negative self-talk and replace them with language that is aligned with who you are choosing to become. This is not toxic positivity. This is not pretending that pain does not exist. This is the disciplined, courageous act of choosing which thoughts you allow to take root in the soil of your mind. When you face a genuinely difficult situation, a setback at work, a rupture in a relationship, a season of uncertainty, your inner voice becomes either your greatest ally or your most vicious opponent. If it tells you that nothing will ever improve, that you are fundamentally incapable, that the darkness is permanent, you erect a wall inside yourself that makes even obvious solutions invisible. But if it reminds you that you have the capacity to respond with wisdom, that you have survived difficulty before, that this moment does not define the whole, you access a resilience that nothing external can manufacture. Create affirmations that are not empty motivational slogans, but genuine, specific, personal declarations of what you know to be true about yourself at your best. Not wishes, recognitions, reminders of the strength that already exists inside you and simply needs to be called forward. Practice them not as performance, but as daily maintenance of a mind that is always at risk of drifting toward its old, familiar darkness. The mastery of your inner world is the master key to everything else. More than any external achievement, more than any change in circumstance, training the mind to respond with clarity and strength, even when conditions are difficult, is the defining practice of a life well lived. Your words, the ones no one else hears, are writing your story every single day. Make sure they are telling the story you actually want to live. Lesson 3. What you attract is a reflection of what you focus on. The experiences that show up in your life are not random. They are not purely the result of luck or fate operating independently of you. They are, in a very real and measurable sense, connected to where your attention lives. This does not mean you are responsible for every misfortune. It means that the quality of your perception, the lens through which you interpret what happens, directly shapes the quality of your experience. Carl Jung's teachings return again and again to this truth. Where the mind goes, life follows. If you train your attention on what is absent, on what is broken, on everything that refuses to cooperate with your desires, you cultivate a state of chronic dissatisfaction that colors every interaction, every opportunity, every relationship with the same gray disappointment. But if you train your attention, and this is a discipline, not a mood, to find what is working, what is growing, what is available, you begin to move through the world in an entirely different way. A daily practice of genuine gratitude is one of the most powerful tools available to any human being serious about transformation. Not gratitude as performance, not a forced list of things you are supposed to feel thankful for. Real gratitude, the kind that arises when you slow down enough to actually notice what is present in your life right now. in this moment, that has value. The roof over your head, the breath in your lungs, the person who answered your call, the problem that taught you something you could not have learned any other way. When you ask yourself what a difficult experience is trying to teach you, rather than simply cataloging what went wrong, you shift from victim to student, and students grow. Victims repeat. This is not spiritual bypassing. This is the most practical, grounded form of intelligence available. The ability to extract value from difficulty rather than being destroyed by it. Type 11 in the comments and complete this sentence. The control of my inner voice belongs to me alone. The number 11 is a portal frequency, the number of awakening of the inner voice reclaiming its rightful throne. Write it, mean it. Let it be the moment you decided. A conscious and awake mind is at the very center of this philosophy. Not a mind that suppresses emotion, but a mind that understands emotion, that can feel the full weight of anger, grief, fear, and disappointment without being governed by them. When you give those emotions the space to be acknowledged, without handing them the steering wheel of your life, you discover a stability that is not fragile, not dependent on things going your way. It is earned, it is real, and it is available to you right now. Lesson 4. The past cannot control the present. The past has no power over your present unless you give it the keys. The mistakes you made, the chances you missed, the relationships that ended badly, the version of yourself you are not proud of, all of it is finished, completed, sealed. And Jung's psychological framework is precise on this point. The unconscious burdens of the past must be brought into awareness and examined, not so they can continue to haunt us, but so they can finally be released. Who you were does not determine who you are. What you did in a moment of weakness, confusion, or incomplete understanding does not define what you are capable of now. The only thing that defines your present is what you choose to do with it. This moment, this breath, this decision. When memories of past failures surface and try to argue that your future will mirror them, take a breath and ask yourself one question. What can I do right now to move forward? Not what could I have done differently? Not what would have happened if. Right now, today, forward. That is the only direction time actually moves, and your attention should move with it. Holding on to resentment from the past is like carrying a backpack filled with stones on a journey that requires you to climb. It slows every step. It wears down every joint, and the stones are not even real anymore. They are memories, interpretations, stories you have told yourself so many times they feel like facts. The freedom available to you when you set that backpack down is not metaphorical. It is physiological. It is immediate. Releasing the past is not the same as excusing it. It is not forgetting what happened or pretending it did not matter. It is the clear-eyed recognition that what happened cannot be changed, and that the only thing you can ever truly govern is how you respond to what is in front of you right now. That recognition is not defeat. It is the most sophisticated form of power available to a human being. The future, when it arrives, will be met with the same inner resources you are developing today, which means that worrying about it now does not prepare you for it. It only steals the peace of the present moment. And the present moment is the only place where anything real ever happens. It is the only place where you can make a choice, take a step, or change a direction. Everything else is either memory or imagination. Living inside the present moment is not a philosophical abstraction. It is the most concrete, practical discipline in existence. Because it is only here, in this exact moment, that your power actually operates. Lesson 5. The peace of trusting that what is yours is already reserved. Real peace, not the temporary peace of distraction or achievement, but the deep, structural peace that holds even when things fall apart, comes from a specific and learnable form of trust. The trust that what is genuinely meant for you is already being arranged, that what your soul most deeply needs is not being withheld, but prepared, that the timing of the universe, however frustrating it sometimes feels, is not arbitrary. This is not passive. This is not an excuse to stop showing up. It is the understanding that your role is to act with full commitment, to plant your intentions clearly, to do your part with everything you have, and then to release the outcome to a wisdom greater than your planning mind can access. Drop 528 in the comments and write, "I attract from wholeness, not from lack." The 528 Hz frequency is known in scientific communities as the frequency of love, of transformation, of cellular repair. It is the frequency of a person who has stopped begging the universe for scraps and has started receiving from a place of genuine fullness. Write it, feel it, let it be true. When you stop measuring the value of each day by whether it delivered what you expected, something remarkable happens. You begin to notice what each day actually delivered, which is often something far more interesting, far more useful, far more perfectly timed than what you had planned. The disappointments reveal themselves slowly as redirections. The delays expose themselves as protections. The detours turn out to have been the actual path all along. A delay is not a denial. When something you deeply desire has not yet arrived, it does not mean it is not coming. It means the conditions are still being assembled, and those conditions include you. You are not just waiting for circumstances to align. You are also being aligned, being prepared, being made ready to actually receive and sustain what you are calling in. Trust your path. Embrace your unfolding. Not because everything is always pleasant, but because even the unpleasant chapters contain exactly what you need to become who you are meant to be. When you truly absorb this understanding, not just intellectually, but in your bones, the anxiety about the future begins to dissolve. Not because the future becomes certain, but because you become certain. Certain that you can meet it. Certain that you are not alone in it. Certain that what is yours cannot be taken by any delay, any detour, or any disappointment. Lesson 6. Aligning your energy through gratitude and visualization. Gratitude and visualization are not soft, optional additions to your life. They are precision instruments. They are the two practices that, when used together with genuine intention, create an internal environment in which what you desire can actually take root and grow. Gratitude anchors you in the present. It pulls your attention out of the imagined future and the remembered past and plants it firmly in what is real and available right now. And what you find when you look with genuine attention at what is real and available right now is almost always far richer than the anxious mind would have you believe. The people in your life, the skills you have developed, the problems you have already solved, the growth that has already happened without your full awareness. When you express gratitude, not just for what you have, but for what is coming, when you give thanks for something that has not yet arrived in physical form, you are doing something deeply sophisticated. You are declaring, with emotional conviction, that you trust the process, that you are not waiting in a state of desperate lack, but in a state of confident expectation. And that emotional signal, that frequency, changes everything about how you move through your days. Visualization is the complement to gratitude. Where gratitude acknowledges the present, visualization inhabits the future as if it were already the present. When you take time, real, deliberate, unhurried time, to imagine the life you are building, not as a vague wish, but as a vivid, sensory, emotionally saturated experience, you do something extraordinary to your nervous system. You teach it that what you desire is real, achievable, already yours in some essential way that just needs to be expressed in physical form. The human brain, as neuroscience has confirmed, cannot fully distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a physically lived one. When you visualize with enough emotional intensity, your brain begins to wire itself as if the experience has already occurred. New neural pathways form, new default behaviors emerge. You begin to act almost automatically in ways that are aligned with the version of yourself who already has what you want. And that alignment accelerates everything. Lesson 7. Life is a dance between you and the universe. Living is a partnership, a collaboration between the intentional force of your own choices and the vast, intelligent, endlessly creative force of existence itself. And like any real partnership, it requires knowing when to lead and when to follow, when to press forward with everything you have, and when to step back and let the larger intelligence take the next move. The most graceful dancers are not the ones who have memorized every step. They are the ones who have learned to feel the music, to respond in real time to what is actually happening, rather than rigidly executing a plan they rehearsed in a different moment. Life asks the same skill of you: presence, responsiveness, the willingness to be surprised. When you resist the unexpected turns, when you insist that life match your script exactly, you do not gain control. You lose rhythm. You exhaust yourself fighting a current that was never your enemy. But when you accept that some turns were always going to be unexpected, when you trust that the universe has a choreography that includes and exceeds your own, you find yourself moving through difficulty with a grace that astonishes even you. The universe is always working in your favor, even in the moments when it absolutely does not feel that way. Especially in those moments, the walls you encounter are part of the structure. The delays are part of the design. The moments when everything seems to pause are often the moments when the most important, invisible work is being done. On you, in you, through you. You cannot rush a dance without losing the music. You cannot rush life without losing the meaning. Every step needs to fall where it falls for the whole to move beautifully. Trust that. Lesson 8. The Law of Attraction and How It Shapes Your Reality. The law of attraction is not magic. It is not wishful thinking dressed in spiritual language. It is a description of something that operates in your life, whether you are aware of it or not. The undeniable connection between the quality of your inner world and the quality of your outer experience. Every thought you think carries a frequency. Every emotion you feel sends a signal. And the universe, or if you prefer, your own unconscious mind, operating in concert with the world around you, responds to those signals with experiences that match them. Not randomly, not occasionally, consistently, reliably, with a precision that can feel almost uncomfortable once you begin to actually observe it. When you carry a mind full of gratitude and trust and genuine expectation of good things, you move through the world in ways that attract more of the same. Your posture changes. Your conversations change. The risks you are willing to take change. The opportunities you notice change. The people you draw into your orbit change. Everything shifts. Not because the universe rearranged itself for you, but because you rearranged yourself, and the world simply reflected that rearrangement back. The reverse is equally true and equally precise. When your mind is saturated with fear, complaint, and the conviction that things always go wrong, that signal is sent outward with the same fidelity. And life, being the faithful mirror that it is, provides you with exactly the evidence you were already expecting to find. This is not punishment, it is mechanics. And mechanics, unlike punishment, can be changed the moment you decide to change them. Awareness is where this transformation begins. Most people cycle through the same negative thought patterns dozens of times per day without ever noticing. The same complaints, the same catastrophizing, the same quiet conviction that good things happen to other people. And then they wonder why the same kinds of experiences keep finding them. The pattern is the cause. Interrupt the pattern, and you interrupt the result. Lesson 9. The power of clarity and visualization in the manifestation process. If you want the universe to work with you, you have to give it something precise to work with. Vague desires produce vague results. General intentions produce general experiences. But when you get genuinely, specifically, viscerally clear about what you want, when you can describe it in detail, feel it in your body, see it in your mind with high resolution, something shifts in both your psychology and in the way opportunities begin to present themselves. Write your desires down, not in abstract terms, but in concrete, vivid, present tense language. Not, I want more confidence, but I walk into every room knowing exactly who I am and exactly what I bring. Not, I want a better relationship, but I share my life with someone who sees me fully and chooses me freely. The act of translating a desire from feeling into language is an act of creation. You are not just clarifying what you want, you are beginning to build it. Visualization, when practiced with depth and discipline, is one of the most powerful forms of mental training available. And the key word is training. It is not daydreaming. It is not escapism. It is the deliberate, repeated practice of inhabiting a desired future state with enough emotional intensity that your brain begins to treat it as an already established reality. When you do this consistently, your behavior begins to shift automatically. Your standards shift. Your tolerance for what does not align with your vision narrows. You start making the thousands of small daily choices that invisibly and cumulatively build the life you have been rehearsing in your mind. Clarity also serves as a filter. When your vision is specific and internalized, you become naturally better at recognizing which opportunities move you toward it, and which are distractions that merely feel urgent. The noise of other people's expectations, the pressure of social comparison, the seduction of shortcuts, all of these lose their grip when you have a clear and deeply felt sense of where you are actually going. Lesson 10. Being virtuous in the manifestation process. The deepest and most durable manifestations are not the ones that satisfy surface desires. They are the ones that emerge from alignment between what you want and who you genuinely are at your core. When your intentions are rooted in your authentic values, in honesty, in genuine care for others, in a desire to contribute something real, the energy behind them is of an entirely different order than when they are driven by ego, comparison, or fear. Shallow desires may produce results, but those results tend to feel hollow upon arrival, because the person who receives them is still the same person who felt lacking before. The external achievement lands, but does not fill the internal emptiness it was supposed to address. This is the trap, and Jung saw it clearly. When you root your intentions in wisdom, in the genuine desire to grow, to contribute, to become more fully yourself, the fulfillment is not just in the outcome. It is woven into the process itself. Every step toward a goal that is truly aligned with your deepest self is intrinsically satisfying. The journey becomes the destination in the most real and non-cliched sense. Courage is inseparable from this, because genuine desires, the ones rooted in your actual purpose rather than in social approval, often require you to move in directions that feel uncertain, uncomfortable, or unfamiliar. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the recognition that the thing you are moving toward matters more than the fear of moving toward it. And moderation, not as deprivation, but as the intelligent recognition that excess in any direction creates imbalance, keeps you grounded throughout the journey. You do not need to accumulate endlessly to feel whole. You do not need to win every comparison to feel worthy. You need to live in alignment with what actually matters to you. And that alignment itself is the source of a peace that nothing external can manufacture or remove. Lesson 11. What you think about grows. This principle sounds almost too simple to be profound, and that simplicity is exactly what makes it dangerous to dismiss. What you think about grows. What you water with your attention expands. What you rehearse in your mind becomes the script of your life. If your mental attention lives primarily in what is missing, what is broken, what is threatening, those things expand in your perception until they fill the entire frame. Not necessarily because they are actually growing, but because your attention has made them the entire picture. And a mind that sees only problems will generate only problem-focused behavior, which produces more problems, which confirms the original perception. The loop is self-sealing. The interruption of this loop begins with awareness. The simple, non-judgmental noticing of where your mind goes when left to its own devices. Keep a journal, not to perform positivity, but to observe honestly. At the end of each day, track where your thoughts spent the most time. What did you rehearse? What did you catastrophize? What did you worry about that never materialized? What genuine good did you fail to notice because your attention was elsewhere? Then, with that same honesty, ask yourself how you could have narrated the same day differently. Not falsely, not in denial of real difficulty, but in a way that also included what was working, what was available, what was growing. Both narratives would be true. The question is which truth you choose to live inside. Your thoughts are seeds. Plant fear, and you harvest more fear. Plant lack, and you harvest more lack. But plant genuine gratitude. Plant specific and heartfelt belief in your own capacity. Plant clear and vibrant visions of what you are building. And the harvest in time becomes extraordinary. This is not metaphor. This is the most literal description of how minds and lives actually work. Lesson 12. Self-actualization is becoming who you were always meant to be. Carl Jung called it individuation, the lifelong process of becoming the most fully realized version of yourself. Not the version your parents imagined, not the version your culture prescribed, not the version you performed for years because it felt safer than the truth of who you actually are. The version that emerges when you stop editing yourself for the comfort of others and start expressing yourself for the integrity of your own soul. Self-actualization is not a destination you arrive at and plant a flag in. It is a direction, a practice, a daily recommitment to growth, to honesty, to the courageous and sometimes painful work of becoming more fully yourself. It is the willingness to look at your patterns, your shadows, your unexamined assumptions, and not to condemn what you find, but to understand it, integrate it, and move forward with greater wholeness. Your unique strengths are not accidental. They are not random. They are the specific contribution that only you can make, and the world genuinely needs you to develop them fully, not out of ambition, but out of fidelity to the particular life that was entrusted to you. Comparing your path to someone else's is not just unhelpful, it is a category error. You are not running the same race. You never were. The commitment to becoming better, not perfect, but genuinely better, each day is the only ambition that matters in the long run. Not wealthier than someone else, not more impressive to people who do not know you. Better, more honest, more present, more capable, more aligned with what you actually believe and value. This is the work, and it is the most meaningful work available to any human being. Lesson 13. How to apply these principles in your manifestation journey. Everything discussed in this video is not theory, it is practice. It is a set of living principles that require daily application, not perfect execution, but consistent, honest, imperfect effort. And when you apply them together, they create a compounding effect that transforms not just what you attract, but who you are as you attract it. Start by distinguishing clearly between what you can control and what you cannot. This distinction is the foundation of everything. Your thoughts, your responses, your choices, your effort. These are yours. The timing of outcomes, the behavior of others, the unpredictable movements of circumstances. These are not. Pour everything you have into the first category. Release the second, with as much grace as you can muster on any given day. Apply what you intend with virtue. Let wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation guide not just the goals you set, but the methods you use to pursue them. Because how you pursue something shapes who you become in the pursuit, and who you become is ultimately more important and more lasting than any specific outcome. Trust the process not as a passive comfort, but as an active orientation. When the results do not come as quickly as you want, when the path looks nothing like the one you planned, when the universe seems to be saying no to what felt like a clear yes, trust that the no contains something, that it is protective, that it is redirective, that it is part of a design whose full intelligence you cannot yet perceive, and do the inner work consistently. Journal, meditate, visualize, practice gratitude with real attention. Monitor your inner dialogue with genuine honesty. These are not extras, they are the core. The outer results are the echo of the inner work. Get the inner work right, and the outer results will follow in the right form, at the right time, to the right version of you. Lesson 14. Release your attachment to outcomes. The single most liberating shift available to anyone serious about genuine transformation is this: detach your sense of worth, your peace, your happiness from the specific outcomes you are pursuing. Not from the pursuit itself, not from the effort, the intention, the desire, but from the insistence that life deliver exactly what you ordered, in exactly the form you imagined, on exactly the schedule you preferred. This attachment to outcomes is the primary source of unnecessary suffering. It converts every delay into a crisis, every detour into a defeat, every unexpected development into a personal failure, and it makes the journey, which is where all of life actually happens, almost impossible to enjoy. Releasing this attachment does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop making your emotional survival contingent on a specific result. You give everything to your effort and hold everything lightly in your expectation. You act as if it matters enormously, because it does. And then you release the outcome as if it is none of your business, because ultimately it is not. The outcome belongs to forces larger than your planning mind. Your business is the quality of your intention, the integrity of your effort, and the openness of your heart to whatever arrives. And here is the profound paradox. When you truly release attachment to a specific outcome, you often attract what you wanted far more easily. Because the energy of desperate need, the vibration of lack, of grasping, of anxiety, is precisely what repels. And the energy of genuine fullness, of someone who is at peace with themselves regardless of what comes. That energy is magnetic in ways that no amount of strategic effort can replicate. Type 999 in the comments and write, "My transformation begins now. I am no longer who I was." The number 999 marks the completion of a cycle, the closing of a chapter that no longer serves you, the beginning of the version of yourself that you have been building toward this entire time. Write it, mean every word, because the moment you decide, truly decide, from somewhere deep and unambiguous, is the moment everything begins to shift. You have just traveled through 14 principles that Carl Jung spent a lifetime mapping from the deepest territories of the human psyche. These are not ideas to be admired from a distance. They are tools to be used.